Here's a brand new Acura MDX. I'm going to go through the whole thing. For this size SUV, this is the second most popular one in the United States. Only the Lexus in this range sells more models. Now, they're not giving them away. This one was $75,000. And if you saw the video I did the other day of a brand new Hyundai Palisade, the guy got it for $41,500. So there's a big price differential. But of course, you're not getting a Hyundai. You're getting Honda technology with this thing. Now, this is a loaded one. It is a Type S all-wheel drive. But that's kind of a funny story. He didn't particularly want the advanced package and all that. So at one dealer, he ordered just the plain one, right? And it never showed up. So he went to another dealer and they said, hey, I don't know how they ordered you one. They didn't make anything but premium ones this year. So he road tested this and he liked it and he bought it. And he said the price really wasn't that different than what the other ones were. It wasn't that much of a difference. You know, anyway you're looking at these things, you're going to spend 70-something grand if you're going to get a brand new one. Now, if we just look at the style, hey, this blacked out thing, it's a mean looking SUV. You know, it's not just one of the cookie cutter SUVs that everybody's driving around. It's definitely got an attitude to it. And he's an interesting driver because he's worried about people stealing his stuff. So he actually has all of these devices. This is his old device that he's had for years that he hooks up if he sits for any length of time to keep people from stealing the car. Of course, it didn't come with that. That's his stuff. But truthfully, if you've watched any of my videos, modern cars, since they have those keyless remote fobs, they can be stolen relatively easy by anybody who knows what they're doing. Now, I'm not a thief, so I don't steal cars, but the equipment that I have to work on cars can be used to steal these things readily. You can just get a generic key once you get into the car by getting the information. If you're standing around with some kind of a receiver, you could get it when somebody opens their door, pushing the button. Once they get into the car, the key that they have, that's a generic key, they can use the machine I have, they can program it to start the car, and away they go. Well, they're gonna have a real hard time with that bar on there, right? Those two bars. And basically it comes down to this. Steve comes by and sees all this crap on the car. Guess what they're gonna do? They're gonna walk on down to the next car and say, that's too much hassle. Thieves, let's face it, they're lazy people. If they weren't lazy, they'd have jobs like the rest of us, right? They want the easiest money they can get. They see all that stuff, they're just gonna walk on to the next one. So, he feels secure. I don't blame him. I'd feel secure in it too. These aren't that popularly stolen vehicles, so not something that you got to worry about that much. But if you are, get a couple of those. You know, nobody's going to be stealing your car, that's for sure. Now, we'll get down to the nitty-gritty, get onto the hood. Got a 3-liter V6 engine that puts out 355 horsepower, and it's tied into a 10-speed Honda automatic transmission. Yes, this is not one of those stinking CVTs. It's a 10-speed automatic, and you'll see how smooth it is when we road test it. Got plenty of zip, and for a vehicle this heavy, it gets average gas mileage. You'll get mid-20s on the highway when you're driving it around. It's a big, heavy vehicle, realize that. Even the Palisade that I checked out the other day, hey, that thing did the same thing. It got mid-20s, and it had a lot less. It had about 100 horsepower less than this thing has. Now, these things were made in the United States. I always like the Japanese ones, but you gotta face the facts. They've been building these things in Ohio for a really long time. Now, as we look inside, you can see it's conservative luxury. A nice, solid door. Makes a cool sound when you go in Type S. Really nicely laid out. Gigantic armrest, automatic charger for your phone, and check it out. The radio and stuff can be done from here, like a real old radio that people are used to. Not some crazy thing that takes you 3 hours to figure out. Even the plugs here for USB and for Type-C. Hey, they're nice, they're hidden, they come out when you want them. Got a brake hold, and you can turn off the automatic shut off. I would always turn it off, I hate those things. So you can do many things with it. You can put it in drive, you can shift it yourself. Got these nice little paddle shifters here. There's a gigantic sunroof. Check it out, it's going. There it is, big old sunroof. It's got a nice setup here. You can see your speed easily. But check out the backup camera. Check it out, you can push a button to even see it. Talk about wide angle. Now, this is the front. There's the top view button. You got the side view and the top view. Choices, you can go comfort, snow, lift. If you want to get a little higher, normal. Or sport. We'll go for sport. And you notice, watch this. Okay, listen. Even the exhaust is louder now. We got a backup camera. It's super wide angle too with the top view. I mean, phenomenal for not running into things. If you're driving a car like this and you run into something, they should take your driver's license away. With this kind of assistance, come on now. You got no excuse running into things. I say, you push that button, hey, you get to see the sides too. So you're not gonna run anything, you see both sides. Makes your car look squashy and kind of strange, but you get to see both sides. And when you shut it off, check it out. Ooh, space age. Now this says super comfortable seats, nice black with red trim. It's got even nice seats in the middle, and of course in the back it's got the seats that are folded down. Now he's got it folded down for carrying stuff. So if you want to carry 8 people, I mean, you can get a loaded Lincoln Navigator for $130,000. That'll hold 8, but really, this is a much more quality vehicle the Acura and the Ford is ever going to be. And for that extra person to pay all that extra money, I mean, you're talking about what, like $60,000? That's freaking insane as far as I'm concerned. Me, I wouldn't even buy, a $70,000 car. I'm certainly not going to buy a $130,000 one. Enough talking, let's get moving here, and there we go. You can see me going down the driveway from the top and from the back. I love these systems. The first thing you notice, this thing is smooth as can be. And these Honda V6 engines have been around forever. The only thing bad I have to say about them is, even though this is 2024, it still has a rubber timing belt. Everybody else has gone to chains, right? But for some reason, Honda V6s, they never went to chains. They still have rubber timing belts. Now, they run perfectly fine, but realize it. You're supposed to change them every 100,000 miles because they're interference engines. So it's just, I don't understand. I guess Honda was thought they were going to go electric, and they're only going to make these for a while. So, but, I mean, that's kind of crazy. Normal. So, we'll change that. There, now we're at sport. Oh, look at that picture. Doesn't that look sporty? Looks like meteors are taking the car. So, here we go to the top of the hill. Amazing, no one's to the left. One guy's to the right. All right, here we go. Whee! Whee! Plenty of pickup and smooth shifting. It's got 10 speeds. This 10-speed transmission is not like that horrendous Ford GM one that had all kinds of problems. Honda engineers know what they're doing, and they decided to get the best gas mileage and the best power they could out of these things. So they threw a 10-speed automatic. They could have thrown in one of those dumb CVTs to get a little bit better gas mileage, but hey, you wouldn't have the performance and the reliability that something like this is going to have. Big advantage of the 10-speed is, not only do you get a little bit better gas mileage, but it's a pretty fast shifter, so you get all the advantages of nice acceleration, but still a really smooth drive. It doesn't have to override the engine, so the engine's going to last longer. And of course, it's got a heads-up display for the speed too, I mean. And now we're going to play a little game that will go to the comfort zone. Now we're in the comfort zone. And it's got a smoother ride too. And look, I like the little GPS because it shows the ocean ahead, and we are headed right towards my house near the ocean. Now, I do have to say, this thing is a lot more fun to drive than that Hyundai Palisade. They both have V6 engines, but the quality of this is infinitely superior. Now, he did pay $34,000 more than the guy did for the Palisade, so because the guy who owned the Palisade, he looked at these and he liked them, but he thought, I think I'll save myself $35,000 and buy the Hyundai and pay for a 120,000 mile warranty. So there you have it, a brand new MDX. I can see why it's the second best selling one in this class. Only the Lexus sells more. If you've got that kind of money, you know, he did pay 75 grand for this thing because it's the loaded Model S with everything on it. He's happy with the thing. I'd be crying over the price though, you know. He paid 10 times more for this car than I paid for every car I've owned for myself, not including my wife's cars. In all those years, I'm 70 years old, so. All right, people are always asking me, should they get a hybrid or not get a hybrid? Well, in this new Toyota Venza, you don't have a choice. It's only sold as an all-wheel drive hybrid system. As you can see, this thing is averaging 39 miles a gallon. For a vehicle of this size and weight, to get that kind of gas mileage, it's relatively phenomenal. We'll look under the hood. Very dependable 2.5 liter engine, no turbo, just 2.5, and the hybrid system here to give it boost. Now this is a Venza, but it's the same as the RAV4. I've driven the RAV4, I liked them, so I imagine I like this when I road tested. But you'll see these things are still pretty zippy, and they can get phenomenal gas mileage, right? Now, everybody knows I'm not a fan of CVT transmissions, right? But this is Toyota's eCVT. It's a bit different. They've been making them for quite some time. Prius has all had them. They've pretty much perfected them over time. Because if you're going to have a hybrid system like this, about the only way you can do it is putting on a CVT transmission, because it can have different inputs to the same drivetrain. Where if you had a regular transmission, the only way you can do hybrid is a half-assed hybrid. Take Dodge, some of their trucks. They're mild hybrids, and they have this crazy Italian generator motor that's built into the engine, so the engine gets the boost through the same transmission. Okay, this is new and shiny. Got a timing chain, no timing belt. You don't even have to worry about that much maintenance on these things. And if you want all-wheel drive, there it is. That's the only way they make them now. You have to get an old version for a two-wheel drive. They only make them an all-wheel drive. They figure there's enough people that want them, that's how they're making them. I like the black trim and the black wheels with the white. It looks pretty good. And here's something interesting. Oh, the Nightshade version. It's the only version that has the black trim like that. Say you don't like the sun, okay? There's the sun. Well, there's a magic button somewhere over here. There it is. Watch this. Magic button. Okay? Now what do you see? All you see is that little dot of a sun, because this is opaque, done electronically on the switch. Watch. Here we go. It's opaque. We'll get rid of opaque. Boom, there comes the sun. And it's bothering you. You get opaque for a little bit of brightness. And of course, if you can't stand any of it, you can just close the whole sunroof if you want. And here it comes, electronically closing itself. And you don't have anything at all. But perhaps this black interior is too dark for you. Well, then what you do is you open the sunroof. It is a double sunroof, so. And then, there you go. You got a nice orange sun. Maybe you can use it to look at eclipse, I don't know. But it's all electronic here, because then when you push the button, like I said, now it's full sun, if you want it bright. But, to some people, that's too bright, so we'll push the button again. And then it's not as bright. Now, this is a hybrid, but it's not a plug-in hybrid, so when you push EV, you can drive it. And if you drive like a turtle for very short distances, say you want to sneak up on somebody, yeah, you can do that. But as soon as you drive it normal, step on the gas, the gasoline motor took in, because this is not a plug-in hybrid. This is a standard hybrid. Now, you take a RAV4 Prime plug-in. I did one of those a few months ago, and the guy told me he's been as far as 55 miles on electricity alone. He took it on a highway going 60, and it was still running on electricity until it got low. So if you want to try out a part electric car, you'd want to get a plug-in. Me, I'd rather have one of these because they're a lot simpler, the battery's smaller, and unlike plug-in EVs and full EVs, battery in this thing is safe. It's inside the car under here. If you got a full EV or a plug-in hybrid, all the batteries on the bottom of the car. And if you live up north, or anywhere really, but especially up north where it's so salt on the road in the winters, right? The salt water will get in those batteries and it can destroy the battery, the wiring system. Canadian government had a big rhubarb with the plug-in RAV4s that they made them fix them because the salt water ate away the wiring. Those were plug-in hybrids. This isn't a plug-in hybrid. You don't plug it in. It just charges itself while the engine's running or when you're doing regenerative braking. So it's a much simpler system, and it's got much less downsides than a full EV or even a plug-in hybrid has. It's got puddle lights under the mirror, so when you open the door you won't see it now because it's too bright, but at night it'll light up so you don't stand in a puddle when you get out. You can see it's got a very wide screen. Good definition. Look, now you're even wider. You can change the lines. Most people will just leave the lines like that. But if you really need wide vision, you can make them wider. Close. wide. Now it's pretty good if there's any kids walking around. You get a better view of what's going on. There's of course all the safety ones here. Traction control, you can turn off lane departure. Too lazy to open your trunk. There it goes. I've seen a lot of them don't do it. Let's see if it closes itself. You gotta hold it 2 seconds, and yes, look, it closes itself too. For the life of me, I could never figure out why they made ones that would open themselves but not close themselves. It only makes sense that you push the button, it opens, you push again, and it closes. We got wireless charging, that's standard on these. You can change the drive modes. You can go sport, normal, eco. Well, you know I'm gonna go sport. Heated seats in the front. Now, higher trims have cooled seats too, but this isn't the highest trim, so you don't get cooled seats. So you can have a hot fanny. We got it wide, you can really see what's going on there. And the warning works. Look at that. It kept me from smashing into them. Hey, I gotta say, that's impressive. My wife would love that. She said I'm never looking. I hate backing up. I only like going forward. Oh, here we go. What do you notice? It's really smooth. And this is the eCVT. It's a CVT, but it's all electronically controlled. And if anybody knows how to make them, it's Toyota, because they've been making them in Priuses for decades. And I was told something interesting. This is the sunroof, and you can see the sun because I have it on opaque mode, but it doesn't open. Finally, a sunroof that I like, because I don't want it to leak. This never opens, it won't leak, it's opaque. Finally, I'm not opening it. It's too hot or too cold outside all the time anyway. And we have it on the energy monitor, so you can see, turn the wheel back, you'll be able to see. You can see what's happening. We'll hit the brakes. Woo, energy goes to the battery. Look at that, isn't that magical? But that 39 miles a gallon, that's the average of all driving, which is kind of phenomenal. We're not just talking one is real high and one is real low. It always gets good gas mileage. You take a car that might get 38 on the road, a conventional car, it's probably going to get 22 in the city, stop and go. Well, this is regenerating electricity, so it does better. See, we got a sport mode, and there's nobody really coming, so take it to our little drag strip. You will hear the engine revving up more, because it's a CVT transmission, and that's what they do. So, now I can see someone's kind of sneaking up on us, so we'll have to do it fast. On your mark, get set, go! Not awe-inspiring, but it takes off decently and smooth. I just like automatic transmissions myself because they got a little more kick to them with actual gears. So we're going 50, 46. We're going to pass somebody. You can see. You're going, it gets to 60 fast enough. It's fine for driving. And unlike some hybrids that ride like go-karts, going over stone roads, this thing's got a pretty smooth ride to it. They got a decent suspension system on these things. The biggest gripe that most people have about Toyota Priuses is their ride is quite a bit on the weak side. This thing is a regular vehicle that's been hybridized, and it really has a nice ride. And it doesn't have much wind noise either. And I do have to say, I like the nightshade, the black and chrome, and then the white and black with the black rims. It's got a nice look to it. And look, I didn't even notice. I was going 45. I was supposed to be going 20, and I had no problem whatsoever. I didn't even notice anything, so it really handles quite well. And once you get rolling, you can see it picks up pretty good. When you come to a stop, now we'll turn it off of sport mode. And of course now, the only thing you hear is the fan, because the motor's turned off, and we're running on battery power. So it's really quiet when it's just sitting there. So there you have it. They're only hybrid, the Venzas now. I gotta say, had a nice ride, decent acceleration, all kinds of accoutrements to it. Me, of course, I'm a cheapskate. I'd probably go get a Toyota Corolla Cross because it's like $12,000 cheaper. I'm cheap, right? But, you know, if you don't mind going in the 40s and you want a small SUV like this and it fits your need, go road test one. I'm really happy with it. You know, I'm a cheapskate. So I won't buy one until it gets really old or a customer gets too tired. They'll just sell it cheap and I'll buy it and drive it for another 200,000-300,000 miles, right? But if you're looking for a car like this, hey, it's got a dependable 4-cylinder engine, it's not turbocharged, and it's a hybrid. Toyota's hybrid. I've seen the RAV4s, Camry hybrids, 250, they're still on the original battery, they're still getting great gas mileage. So, and regardless of when you buy it, Toyota gives a 10-year, 150,000 mile warranty on the battery. A lot of people, 150,000 miles to them, oh, I'll get rid of my car. You don't have to worry about the battery. And even if you did by then, if the battery went bad, there's reconditioned batteries available for a much cheaper. I had a customer in Chicago, drove a Camry hybrid for Uber, and he bought another battery and installed. Parts and labor, it only cost him $1,300. He had like $250 on his Camry. It finally started to go out, the hybrid battery, so he had a guy install that, and it worked perfectly fine. His gas mileage went back up to normal. So they're not that bad if you get a Toyota. Now, if you're thinking about getting BMW or Mercedes or Audi hybrid, well, you better have a lot of money in the bank to pay for repairs as it breaks down. These are known for not breaking down. Those aren't. You really got to pick and choose if you're going to buy a hybrid. 2025 Toyota Camry. Guy just bought this thing for $31,000 here in Clarksville, Tennessee. Yes, $31,000. And consider that my son paid 50 grand last year for his Tacoma. That's almost twice as much. As we look under the hood, realize it is a hybrid. This thing, average gas mileage is 51 miles a gallon. Now, I'm not particularly a fan of white cars, but hey, white with the black wheels and the black trim, it looks pretty sharp. This does have a CVT transmission. You know, I'm a fan of CVT transmissions generally. This is an e-CVT. It's an electronic CVT. It's a completely different ball game. The regular CVTs have drums and chains or belts. It's a new design. They have a lot of problems with them as they age. They don't feel right. You feel more slippage, kind of like an old Evinrude on a John boat. You hit it and it just goes and just moves. It's a completely different ball game. These electronic CVTs, they're using electric motors to drive them. Toyota's been using this system for decades in the Prius. They pretty much perfected. And you might say, Scotty, but this is a Camry. Okay, Camrys have been made with hybrid systems since 2006. This is a 2025. That's 19 years. They do have a pretty good shifting system. You don't notice it shifting because it's continually variable, but it's a very complex system. But Toyota makes them so well, it's not something you really got to worry about. Now, granted, back in the day, the early Priuses, a lot of them, the electric motor generator would burn out because it overheated. Toyota fixed that problem ages ago with different kinds of cooling systems. And the engine itself is no tiny little 1.5, 1.8. This is a 2.5 liter four-cylinder engine. It's a very strong engine. How the heck Toyota can squeeze 51 miles a gallon combined? This isn't city or highway, it's combined. It actually gets a little bit better in town than it does on a highway. But 50 miles a gallon, anyway you look at it, is phenomenal, right? How they can get 51 miles a gallon out of a 2.5 liter engine is beyond me, because a lot of these companies are going to little bitty 1.2 liter fours or three-cylinder engines. This is a good sized engine, so you get decent power, but it gets phenomenal gas mileage. Now, as we look in the trunk, you'll notice one thing. There's a little bitty battery inside the trunk here. The panel I took off. Now, this little bitty battery powers the gauges, the headlights, stuff like that. The main battery of the car that operates is under the back seat. It's a 251 volt hybrid battery. The headlights and everything are still working on 12 volts. The main battery and generator charges this battery using a transformer system. Steps it down from 251 to 12 volts. But you got to check this 12 volt one every once in a while. It will go out long before the hybrid battery. Generally, these hybrid batteries and Camrys, I've seen them go anywhere from 175 to 250,000 miles before they really needed replacing, sometimes even further. They're gonna last a long time, but the little ones don't last as long. And your car will get squirrely if the little one goes bad. So a good idea you buy one of these once every year or two. Have the little battery tested, and when it's bad, just replace it. It's easy, it's in the trunk. So just like a fully electric car, you can see there's orange wires, those are high voltage wires. Those all have to have integrated grounding systems inside the wiring system itself. It can't have a positive wire here and then a negative being ground, because then the ground would be 250 volts. And like I say, when you touched it, you'd be electrocuted. They don't have those problems. They know how to design them. That's why there's a 12 volt battery in the trunk. The 12 volt battery, when you turn the car on, runs the computer system. Computer checks if everything's okay. Then it closes the circuitry to allow the 251 volt battery to start operating everything else through different transformers. They have different voltages they use, but it's got to be activated by the 12 volt battery first. And of course, Toyota's got the cooling system down pat. They got separate cooling system for the battery system so it won't overheat. This is a pretty tried and true system. And I do have to truthfully say, even though I'm not a hybrid fan, if somebody smashes into one of our cars when we're driving around here or Rhode Island or in between, we got to get another car, I would seriously consider buying this car. I already was considering buying it, even before I saw this one. I did the research and I thought, gee, 51 miles a gallon, you can actually buy them for 31 grand, at least. Here in Clarksville, Tennessee, I don't know what they're selling for in the rest of the country, you can check yourself. Theoretically, the list of the cheaper one is only $29,000. Hey, I'd rather pay the two. And if you wanted an all-wheel drive version, all the all-wheel drive versions are only like $1,600 extra. Now, to me, what do you need all-wheel drive in a Camry for? It's not an off-road vehicle, right? And as I said, I don't even care about a V6 in one of these, because who tows stuff with a Camry? You know, this can tow a reasonable amount of stuff. But, you know, you don't need a V6 engine in a Camry, really. The Ford's put on enough horsepower. And with the boost from the electric motor, these things still get enough get up and go, as you'll see when we take it for a road test. And of course, being a hybrid and not a full electric car or a plug-in hybrid, you still got a huge trunk in this baby. Still got a huge trunk. The Camry trunk, you can fit lots of things in it. So let's check out the interior. I think it's beautiful. Black and white. Really comfy seats in the back. And these babies aren't made in Mexico. They're made in USA. This one was made in Kentucky. My wife had a used Camry station wagon we had years ago, bought it used for $3,000. It was made in Kentucky. Had no problems. It was an excellent car. So let's check the inside of the car. I like it because I'm into black. Hey, a lot of black in this car. But I like the white accents on these extremely comfortable seats. And we'll start her up. Of course, we don't hear anything because it's in hybrid mode. Now, you can drive it in EV mode if you want. It does have an electronic parking brake. I'm not a fan of these things, right? But that's the way that it goes. As you can see, the screen is now integrated. It's smooth. It fits in with the car. Look at it. It's a good design. I like it. Let's take it for a little spin. Backup camera's pretty good. You can make it wider if you want. We don't want to hit anything here. It's a skinny driveway at the end. And of course, it's making its funky electric car noise. By law, they have to make a noise when you're in electric mode. I want to have some fun, so I'm putting it in sport mode. As you can see, it's now in sport mode. And away we go. Give it a little gas just to see. Not bad. The other thing you really hear are the tires. After a while, you'll start complaining about tire noise because people will get so spoiled. They'll hear a little tire noise. Well, tires make noise when they go down the road. But of course, as soon as I put in sport mode, if you look, the gas mileage went down to 46.9 because I'm driving fast. And of course, it's got the little thing that tells you there's a stop sign. There it is. Tells you there's a stop sign, and when we look outside, there's a stop sign. So we'll take it out to our little drag strip here. Woo! Your little squeal there, it's in sports mode. This is not the old Toyota Prius turd mobile, let me tell you. We'll look behind us. There's nobody behind us. So, here we go. Not bad acceleration. Yeah, it's not a race car, but hey, it gets going. We got going 65 miles an hour pretty quick. We'll slow down a little here, 45, and then we'll floor it. And now we're going 65, so decent acceleration. It does 0 to 60 in like 7.4 seconds. Nothing outrageously fast, but it gets you where you're going. And it doesn't really matter whether you get the all-wheel drive version. That only adds like 4 horsepower. It doesn't make much difference. And it's reasonably fun to drive in the twisties. And like I said, we're going 37. We'll floor it. Okay, now we're going 65 miles an hour, 70. I mean, let's face the facts. Camrys aren't race cars. They never were. They're good, dependable cars. And now they get phenomenal gas mileage and cost a lot less than other things out there. Now you might wonder, how can they sell this car for $31,000 with all this stuff? Well, it's because sedans aren't as popular as they used to be. Camrys used to be their bigger #1 seller for decades, right? Now, it's the RAV4. Now, let's say you want a plug-in RAV4 hybrid. Look locally, they're about $54,000 at the same dealership that the guy bought this one for $31,000. So maybe think, hey, it's a nice car, got a lot of space. Do I really need an SUV? So there you have it, the truth about a brand new 2025 Toyota Camry SC Hybrid. I'm not that much of a hybrid fan, but I'd be leaning more towards 51 miles a gallon with the Toyota electronic CVT that's a bulletproof transmission that works perfectly fine. They've been perfecting them over the years. The engineers have done some wacky stuff. I've watched guys strip them down. They are very complex with all the motors and moving parts. Now you know what you get if you're looking at one of these things. Hey, I'm here to give you a wise choice for your money. So if you never want to miss another one of my new car repair videos, remember to ring that bell.